Obviously, a lot of people are here to complain about the city and a lot of the struggles you guys are having, which is typical for this city. But I want to talk about a bigger issue. We are currently at the 24th anniversary of the terror attacks that happened on September 11, 2001. And I just want to say that those terror attacks were perpetrated by people within the United States government. I think it's a fact. The idea that they were able to find the passports of the terrorists, but they weren't able to find the black boxes, makes me ask a lot of questions. And then you look at who benefited from the terror attacks on 9/11. Well, it helped the federal government put in what is called the Patriot Act. What is the Patriot Act? The Patriot Act gives the government warrantless search and seizure of our cell phones, of our emails, of basically any of our private information. So my point is, governments do false flag attacks all the time. Hitler allegedly did the first false flag attack. So governments that are in power will oftentimes do these attacks in order to benefit the country overall. They're willing to kill their own citizens to put their country forward or to put in legislation that will take away our constitutionally God-given rights. So I just think about it 24 years later. Everybody wants to talk about JFK, and obviously JFK got his head blown out off here in Dallas, probably done by the CIA. Obviously wasn't just a lone shooter. So people can call me a tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorist, all you want. I just get frustrated because when I saw those towers fall, especially Tower 7, that was the third tower that fell that day, that did not get hit by any planes, and it was actually a 47-story tower. It would be the tallest building in over 30 different states, and it fell, the only building to ever fall from office fires. So we need to investigate 9/11 on this anniversary. I hate that we always forget about it, especially this new generation of kids that weren't emotionally affected by 9/11, so they might not have the same interests that we have because we all experienced it. But it's pretty obvious that our government lied about what happened on the September 11th. They lied about what happened at the Pentagon. They lied about Flight 93. They won't admit that they probably shot that down. And it's just very frustrating. But other than that, obviously you want to bring attention to that. Also, the Dallas Cowboys suck. I'm sick of the Dallas Cowboys. It was one thing when the Mavericks traded Luka. I was like, who cares about the Mavericks? They're not any good. They don't have Dirk anymore. But now that the Dallas Cowboys are basically doing their own false flag attack on their franchise, it makes me sick because I wish Jerry Jones would sell the team to the cartel, because at least the cartel would figure out how to get across the goal line, because they cross the hardest goal line, the United States border. So I wish Jerry Jones would sell the team. And also, one of the council members on this dais was hanging out with registered sex offender Bill Hutchinson in Miami. He was on a trip with him, and the same person is doing an ethics investigation. So that's Chad West was with a registered sex offender.
No, we can't
Bill
do
Hutchinson.
that. We can't
Thank
do
you.
that.
And remember 9/11.
do that.
9/11 truth. It was an inside job.
That's your time. This concludes.
I'm so fly, I'm aligned with the planes. My grind so refined, I got no time for no games. Ask yourself why would I make time for you lames? At all costs, cause I'm a boss. But break them off, yeah, gotta break them off.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Prime Time with Alex Stein. I'm your host, Alejandro Stein, and we have a great evening planned for you. We got Kelly in Vegas, and we have Blaze investigative journalist. You know him, you love him, the one, the only Steve Baker. Steve, real quick, that video, you're probably like, what the heck did I just watch? And I want to say this, that we internally debated whether we should post that video, but I actually went to the city council last Wednesday, the day before 9/11, when obviously this horrible tragedy happened. And so that was in the morning, and we were kind of debating whether we should post it or not. But because one of our guests is a sports handicapper, we figured we should probably put out the part about the Cowboys, and we probably should put out the part about the Chad West hanging out with a registered sex offender. So what do you think about that, politicians hanging out with registered sex offenders?
Look, let's go back to the Cowboys. Just for a
Okay,
minute.
all right, that's fine. They're worse, right? Almost.
no,
Not as bad, but close.
No, I mean, look, you got assassins, you've got pedophiles, and you got the Cowboys.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
that's
not necessarily in that order. But I was at that game in Charlotte when the Panthers were playing the Cowboys. Now, they had just won, 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls.
Oh, you're talking about when they win the playoffs, Kerry Collins back in the 90s or the early 2000s?
This is 95, 96.
Yeah.
And they had made it to the playoffs yet again, and they were there, and I was in the stadium, and I was watching it. Michael Irvin got injured in that game, and it was, it was basically over. Emmett was playing really bad.
they were over the
Irvin got
hill.
completely busted up that game. They lost to the Panthers. The Panthers went to the championship game in Green Bay that year. And it was right then that I recognized this is the false flag.
Right then.
Oh, right then. I knew it was total sabotage.
You think they were tanking back then? Because
this was over. It was over.
It was over then, and you know what's crazy is that that since then, over 25 years ago, that Carolina has actually been to the Super Bowl with Cam Newton. They went to the NFC Championship that game, and they have been to more NFC Championship games and Super Bowls in the same time span as the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody would have believed that. But one thing that can unite America is hatred for Dallas, and I'm a Dallas fan. So if it actually unites our country in this tough time, I'm all about it. So before we really get into it, it's hard to kind of be funny right now, guys, because of what we're going through. And I know it's a week after the fact, a week and a day, but it's still very traumatic. I'm going to the funeral this Sunday in Phoenix. And I know, Steve, you're obviously very affected by this. So can you give us your perspective of everything that's going on and I guess the week after the fact?
Yeah, I have had obviously now a week to think about all this and to process it. It was a few days before I could talk. I had to disengage for a little while. And even though I never met Charlie personally, and I'd been on his show a few times, and so we met, through this
Digitally meet.
this format, but I had never met him personally. But he had been an advocate for me on my case when the federal government was prosecuting me for January 6th. And he was on the transition team between, right after Trump was elected this last time, back November 5th. I have it in my phone. I have a screenshot of the text exchange he had with Matt Peterson, our editor-in-chief, in which he told Matt that my case was a done deal. And on November the 9th, 3 days before my scheduled trial,
is when everybody got the pardon.
That's when Charlie said, your guy, your boy.
Because you weren't that worried. Is that why you weren't that worried now? Because you had that inside information from Charlie Kirk?
That's why I pled guilty to all 4 counts.
Wow. And Charlie was just like, he helped out so many people that he didn't even realize he was probably helping. Like, he obviously wanted to help you because you're a patriot and he thought that you were getting persecuted by the federal government, but like, he didn't have to help you. He probably didn't expect anything to benefit from helping you. He was just that type of guy to help people.
I just knew that I didn't have to go through the shaming process of the trial because it's it's in Star Trek language, it's a Kobayashi Maru. You can't win. It's a no-win scenario to go through the trial with a DC.
No, you have a 99% chance to lose.
Yeah, 99.75 in January 6 cases. Yeah. And so it wasn't worth it. I had already made the decision with my attorneys to avoid the shaming process. And then when Matt forwarded me that text, it was all the comfort I needed that I'd made the right decision. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
And Charlie was a monumental guy. He was a guy that, now the rumors are, and I don't want to get into too much conspiracies, that he would have been J.D. Vance's running mate in the upcoming election. And I think that would have been a pretty popular ticket. I would vote for that ticket. And I'm not going to go after J.D. Vance at this terrible time, but I'm saying I think Charlie's even more likable than J.D. Vance, personally.
Would he have been 35 yet?
I think it would have been 35, right at 35.
Right,
yeah.
At the election time?
And he could have ran for senator or congressman, but he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
He was more powerful running the biggest college organization of conservatives in the country. And, he was a kingmaker, and he could have easily 86'd me from Turning Point, and he let me hang around because he truly defended free speech. And I know I've been saying that for a week, but I just sometimes think it's one of the biggest disappointments is now people are realizing how base and how cool Charlie was. Not that, obviously a lot of people realize he had a huge following, but even more people are realizing, man, Charlie Kirk was way cooler than I even thought.
Well, I actually, when I finally started doing what we all did, we were tweeting our thoughts, and I made some comment on X that first of all, that I had never felt like I felt that day since 9/11. Mm-hmm. All right, so that was the first time
very similar
that I felt that same thing. That level of impact on a national scale or importance, or that this was a turning point in American history, because 9/11 was. And then the next thing that I had tweeted out was I made reference to, for the right, and especially for young people on the right, that this was their MLK moment. And I I made the mistake of putting that on Facebook. Now, the difference between my ex account, which is, largely a more right-leaning bubble in terms of followers. Well, my Facebook
These
page,
are friends that are liberal. You've known your whole life. It is a different,
it's a
sample
completely
size.
different. But also, I had built, because my career as a musician, I had built in that.
All these
community,
musician friends,
very
yeah.
left, and I got just hammered
But
over.
they said
there.
MLK is that much better than Charlie.
Well, but see this is what's happening. A week later, those guys that hammered me had no idea, because of their bubble, their information and media.
They didn't
bubble.
know how impactful Charlie
They
was.
had no idea. All they knew was that there was this, 6'5" young guy that they didn't like, who said bad things that they hated.
Yeah, I'm pro-life. That's what they hated.
Right. But what they're learning a week later, and some of them are kind of like, secretly going, okay, I get it now, is they didn't realize the impact that he was having, particularly on the younger generation. And as a result of that, they had no idea of the size of the impact. They didn't realize that he was just a bad guy that had a few thousand people show up at a college every once in a while. He was a bad guy that had a lot of people following him.
Yeah.
But not a bad guy.
No, not a bad guy at all. And if we look at MLK, from the MLK leaks, he obviously didn't deserve to die, but he was supposedly doing orgies and all kinds of crazy stuff. He had a great "I have a dream" speech, but I would argue that Charlie is probably more morally sound than MLK. And maybe you want to debate me on it. Let's go debate. I'll actually do that debate anytime. Okay, and talking about Charlie's legacy and the people on the left, and they're like maybe even the far left, because a normal person really wouldn't celebrate anybody's tragic murder like that. But Jimmy Kimmel blamed MAGA conservatives for the death of Charlie Kirk, and because of that allegation, he has been indefinitely suspended from his job hosting at ABC. And, I'll be honest, I don't think that the comments that he said were especially egregious, but it was at the time, the wrong place and the wrong time to even speak like that when you're supposed to be a comedian. It wasn't even clever. You're just trying to, right. He accused, people trying to score political points when he was literally the one trying to do this to score political points. So I don't have any sympathy for Jimmy Kimmel. He's a rich guy. What do you think about this whole thing? I just think that it's not what he said, it's when he said it.
Well, it's two thoughts about Kimmel, and you can even fold Colbert into this, even though it had nothing to do with Charlie. But Kimmel was not just the bad timing, but in the comment itself was a blatant lie. Mm-hmm. That was what really got him in trouble. But that's really not what got him fired.
What, Nexstar?
No, what got him fired, or what got him in indefinite suspension, was they were looking for an excuse to cut their losses.
Oh, 100%.
Network was. And that's what Colbert's problem was. Colbert's problem wasn't that he was saying the wrong thing, or that Trump drove him out, or that the FAA drove him out, or any other political. The bottom line is when you're losing $40 million a year, they got to find a reason to get rid of you. And in Kimmel's case, I think I saw the ratings yesterday. Of all the network TV shows, he was ranked like 745th.
Yeah, no, his rankings aren't good at all, and his show is not profitable. But they still want to have that propaganda arm, so he's probably still had some value. But obviously, after this and seeing Nexstar, you're right. They saw an opportunity where they could go and cut the dead weight. But I think at the same time, those shows aren't even necessarily supposed to make money to these people. They're more just about spreading an agenda, or you give us the impression that they're selling Toyotas or something.
Well, let me tell you, Johnny Carson used to make a buttload of money.
Yeah, he was the best,
NBC.
though. Well, they all make money.
And Letterman and Leno.
But now with all the digital media, though, Steve, that format is dead now, and nobody cares about the canned 5-minute interview.
Right. But here's what they need to do. They need to have a staff and a set this size.
Yeah. Oh, he would.
Right. And they don't need to be in Hollywood and in Manhattan, where their sets are, and they don't need to be getting $20 million a year salaries.
I agree. I think it needs to be a eat what you kill mentality. Gavin McInnes coined that phrase, and these people, they don't have any motivation to actually make good content because their audience is already built in, and if they don't get a big audience, then it doesn't even seem like ABC or NBC cared, because they let these guys do these low-rated shows for now going on 10 years. So I have this world's smallest violin is playing for Jimmy Kimmel right now. I got about zero sympathy for the guy. I'm interested to see what's going to happen next. He was just on vacation for 3 months. Do we know, Jimmy, if the show is still happening with replacement guests?
It just said suspended indefinitely, so they'll either come back or they'll find a replacement. But based on internal reporting, Jimmy Kimmel is not really that interested in coming back.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. And he allegedly has about 10 of his employees are all family members. So he's probably like, how do I fire my family members? No, this is true. He hires, and he's like, how am I going to fire my family members? Well, maybe you get fired, and then he lets ABC do the decision for him. But Steve, you probably don't like this. I'm happy that our boy Benny Johnson got the FCC official on his show, but I don't really like the FCC. I get it, like after the Super Bowl thing, we saw Janet Jackson's boob. They all went crazy. George Bush went crazy. But I don't think that they really help society that much by censoring free speech. So I don't know if I like this government intervention if I'm just speaking honest. So what is your opinion on the FCC stepping in?
Well, I mean, I am a free speech absolutist. I am a First Amendment absolutist. I am a libertarian. And when I say a libertarian, I am a...
You mean it.
From, I'm talking about constitutional founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson style libertarian. And so when it comes to free speech, I absolutely do not want to see any insinuations from Pam Bondi, President Trump, the FCC, on limiting speech whatsoever, period. A fire in a theater... well,
I don't even think that should be a crime. I mean, I like if that's harassment, like if you're actually like causing an issue, like you're purposely trying to trick somebody,
right.
Maybe that could be like, I don't know exactly.
That's an whole. But it is actually legal to say
fire in a theater. Yeah,
if there's a damn fire in a theater.
Yeah.
So there is a condition there. But what I saw the numbers today. It was something like 15,000 arrests in the UK in the last year for social media
they've been
posts.
going crazy. The cybercrimes division has been insane. Like you said, I think it's even more than that. They're saying that they're arresting like 100 people a day or something like that. It's something crazy.
Right. And then you've got the prime minister telling
posts on Facebook.
Right,
I think we hand wave this guy. In the UK, literally, people are being like, I don't like that there's too many falafel places in my neighborhood. Like just saying stuff that's not even that egregious, and they're going to their house and arresting them in the UK right now.
Right. Or if your neighbor, who happens to, be a Muslim of some variety, decides he doesn't like the smell of your bacon. Oh yeah, right. Your traditional English breakfast, and so he complains, and then you make a post about my neighbor complained about my bacon this morning. F him. Well, 3:30 the next morning, you got the bobbies showing up at your house to arrest you
for hate crimes
for your Facebook post, and it was the neighbor who's complaining about your culture.
It's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. I don't like all the. This is what your libertarian values, conservative values. I obviously have both. I want less government intervention. I want less FCCs. I want less organizations from the government trying to get involved in our media, art, whatever industry. Even like a car business. I actually used to like it. I used to sell cars before this. I know, a big surprise. But there were certain regulations that when I sold a car to an individual compared to a dealer, there was a lot more red tape I had to go through. I had to make sure that it was inspected, this, that, had to tell them it was as is, no warranty. So like in certain cases, I do think it's okay if the government wants to have a little overreach to maybe protect us a little bit. But that overreach has gotten, and I saw this personally in the car business where it just got even crazier and crazier and crazier. The years went on, and they make it almost impossible to sell a damn car because it's just really difficult. Like, my point is when the government gets involved in any business, it's going to make that business less successful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can't believe we have this in common now.
What?
I sold cars for...
Yeah, you did. See, that's every entertainer, musician has to sell cars.
13 months of my life. I call it the black hole of my life.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Well, here's the thing. I made more money doing that than I'd ever made prior to that in my life. I was even salesman of the month a few times. I sold a buttload of cars.
The cars sell themselves if you're nice.
Right,
and the cars sell themselves.
If you're you and me.
Yeah.
But that was not the hard part. You had to give up your social life because you're there.
Oh, dude, sorry to cut you off. I had to work weekends, and I had my own car lot. I'm sure you're at a new car dealer, and I actually interned and worked at a new car dealer to kind of get a little experience. But I was just kind of doing it because I worked at Cheaters for half the year, and I needed a job for the other half of the year to do. And it's kind of, like you said, you think your schedule's good because on Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the middle of the day, nobody's going to view a car. But on Sunday and Saturday and Sunday, that's when everybody's looking at a car. I didn't have a damn weekend for like 3 years.
And then you had to show up to deliver the car
All the
to
time.
whenever they were going to show up. So you had no free time. You were 9 to 9 every day of the week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's always something. Like the slow days would be like the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're swamped. At least I was. I wasn't at one of those big car lots where they sell a ton of cars. I was selling like 15 cars a month, sometimes 30, in that range. Yeah, that's what we have in common. But I just, in my personal experience from that industry, the more the government got involved, like they give us the impression that they're trying to help the customer, but really it just made the transaction more expensive for the customer and more of a headache for the dealer. So I just want less government involvement. But now this FCC official, Brendan Carr, Brian Stelter reached out, and the FCC official sent him a GIF or GIF. What's the proper way to say it? They say
I have no
GIF
idea.
is a proper way, but I kind of like GIF better. Of this, I was confused. They're saying raise the roof, so that they're celebrating. So this is the FCC commissioner celebrating? Is that what that's trying to insinuate?
I believe so.
I'll allow it. What do you think about the FCC celebrating Jimmy Kimmel's suspension?
It's better than Kimmel celebrating our boy Charlie getting.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's
It
just go there.
is the better.
I mean, I don't want to go there, and I don't want to make. I wondered. I don't even know. I don't know how you've done it. I don't know how you've done your job in the last week. It's been very difficult to find humor and.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Right. But that observation, I think I can make without being, trite.
Yeah, no, that's not being rude or disrespectful at all. But like, you were talking about earlier, and you can just stop showing this meme. This meme's stupid. You did make such a good point how this is so similar to 9/11, and it really is, because we all saw 9/11 and we all saw this video, and even people that didn't know Charlie were really affected by this. So I'm like, I don't know. As a society, the idea that now it's a turning point. Where do you see the turn going, in your opinion? Where does the turn go? Because does it go to Pam Bondi limiting hate speech? Does it go to, or does it go to people like Van Jones on the left now celebrating the First Amendment and saying, hey, we don't want the government involved in, media? Like, does this wake up the left, or does it cause some problems for the right?
Well, I'm not worried about what Pam Bondi said the other day. It's not going to happen because the pushback was immediate. And which side did it come from? It came from us. It came from our side. Now, the left were, wagging their fingers as well. And then Trump kind of doubled down, supported her a little bit, said some Trumpisms about it. But he does that anyway. He looks at the ABC guys and starts criticizing them. You're the problem. You're the fake news. You're the blah blah blah. And that's what Trump does. But when push comes to shove, when it gets down to actually the brass tacks of legislation, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's very unconstitutional. How are they going to decide what is and what isn't hate speech? And Charlie was very against it. So if this terrible tragedy sets the groundwork for legislation that creates hate speech laws, that's the opposite of what Charlie would have wanted. Okay, guys, I know we're all going through a tough time. I'm looking. Where's the whiskey bottle? Did Steve drink it? Where is it?
One right in front of you there.
Oh, it would have bit me if it was a snake. I was looking for it. I can't even see myself. Thank you, Steve. It would have bit me if it was a snake. Guys, some bourbons chase trends. Flying Ace chases legacy. This is straight bourbon the way it was meant to be. Bold, balanced, and unapologetically American. No gimmicks, no fluff. Just real whiskey made for people who still believe in hard work, high standards, and doing things the right way. Whether you're winding down after a long day or raising a glass with good company, Flying Ace delivers every time. It's not about hype, it's about heritage and getting back to what bourbon was always supposed to be. If that sounds like you're kind of poor, it's time to level up. Buy online at flyingacespirits.com and use the code BLAZE for free shipping. flyingacespirits.com, use the code BLAZE for free shipping. And we're going through some time. Have you medicated with alcohol? I don't want to even make a joke of it, but did you want to drink? I've been wanting to drink or something. I'm not even saying that kiddingly. I just feel like I haven't been drinking, but I feel on the edge still.
I didn't that day. I live my life on the road.
Yeah. So when you're traveling, alcohol kind of helps a pirate travel the
right.
seas,
So I was actually on the road when it happened. I was headed to D.C. and driving from North Carolina, and I'm monitoring it all as best I can on radio and on my phone while I'm driving. And by the time I got to my hotel there in D.C., I was not looking to get hammered. You know, I sat down, had a martini at the bar in the hotel,
And then you had 10.
and then that was it. You know, that was I didn't have, because you couldn't eat. You
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm saying. No. So you did have a bunch of drinks? You just had one?
No, I
drink?
didn't.
Oh, you only had one.
No, I didn't. And it was.
Alcohol is never the answer, but when people
No.
die, for some reason, alcohol seems to be a big thing that people.
Well, you do, you know, and if you're with some friends and you jointly and mutually knew the individual that was killed, and this was not just killed, you know, this
This is brutally murdered
Right,
in
right.
the most heinous way that we could have ever imagined.
on live television. We saw the close-up videos. This is why it was so similar to 9/11, because of the visceral impact. In 9/11, we saw the people jumping out of the buildings, you know, jumping 100 floors or 80 floors or
Waving
whatever.
the towels out the window.
Right,
I mean,
right, and knowing that those people did not survive, we could see their faces, and then with Charlie, the impact and the blood and all that, it was too much, and it was such that most of the people that I talked to, you know, we couldn't eat that night. So
Yeah, I did the opposite. I ate like 2 large pizzas. I'm not even saying that to be funny. I think I ordered Domino's and was eating.
you went comfort food.
I went comfort food. I like haven't stopped eating. I've not drank anything, but I don't suggest drinking. But it is kind of when you lose somebody you care about or respect, it's not that uncommon to do that. Okay, well, speaking of all this terrible tragedy, how is your sports betting life going? Are you a big sports bettor, handicapper? What do you bet? Do you gamble?
There's 2 things that I don't do
Okay.
because I'm really not good at it,
Okay.
and that's sports betting and making my own investment decisions.
Yeah,
I
they're kind of
suck.
one and the same.
I suck, man.
Honestly, like, some of my sports bets probably would have been better than some investments I made. But my point is, gambling is a fun, dangerous thing to do. I don't encourage it all. I don't encourage you guys to really get started with gambling. I'm kind of I'm a riverboat gambler, but I'm kind of actually. Even before this Charlie thing, I was like, you know what? In 2026, I don't really want to gamble much, unless I'm like a poker game with friends or something. But with all that being said, let's bring on an ex-Barstool employee, current OutKick employee, the one, the only Kelly in Vegas. Kelly, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. What an intro. I don't encourage gambling. Let's bring on the gambler.
Well, you know, it's just really tough, Kelly, and obviously that is your business, and I don't think me saying that's going to hurt the gambling industry whatsoever, because gambling is so much fun, but like, I have lost so much damn money on the Dallas Cowboys in the last 3 years that I can't afford to gamble. I probably lost $10,000, and that's low because some people, but I think I've calculated I've probably lost 10 grand at least in the last 2 seasons on the damn Cowboys.
Look, the biggest thing I tell people is you've got to have a managed bankroll. You guys were just talking about investments. This is no different. I'm not going to take $100,000 and dump it into one stock. You're not going to do the same thing with a sports bet, whether it's $10 or $100. You've got to differentiate. You've got to kind of spread it out, and you've got to say, hey, this is how much I'm willing to lose, whether it's in a weekend or a season. So listen, I jest about, you know, the intro, but it is real. You do need to show some discipline. And if you don't have that ability, you shouldn't be gambling.
Yeah, but Kelly, you know how it ends for 99% of people. I mean, you've been handicapping for a long time, and, you know, it comes in waves, or you win a few weeks in a row, and then you go cold for a few months. So it's like, you know that you can get in a bad luck streak. Even with these games, that's the thing, is you would think the football handicapping and sports handicapping would be the easiest, and I'm sure there's like, obviously there's like, you know, slam dunks, what do they call it, you know, people pick.
There is no such thing as a lock.
That's what I'm saying, the
I'll
lock.
take the
like,
word out of your mouth.
They
right
always
now.
say the lock, and then whenever I bet on the
always
stupid
say
lock, I always lose the lock.
Of course, we don't use the L word in my world. You can't. There's no such thing. People get hurt. Plays get called incorrectly in the huddle. Pitchers throw no-hitters. I mean, I can mathematically break down a game to the best of my ability. I can't play it for these guys. That's the end of the game. Crazy things going to happen, especially in the NFL, every single week.
And on top of that, Steve, I don't know if you agree with this, but Kelly, you better agree with me, or else I'm kicking off the show right now. It's all rigged so Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift can have like a Super Bowl thing, right? I mean, can we just be honest?
Listen, I was on the Chiefs last week, and I had a bunch of Eagles fans texting me after the game, and I'm going, you guys, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I threw a little bit of money on the Chiefs. I thought they had a good spot there at home. Send Taylor Swift's fiance a fruit basket. Thank him, because that was a 14-point swing in the other direction. I will not say that it's rigged. Listen, I would never put my money onto something that I didn't think I would have an advantage. Do I think that there are
Tim
advantageous
Donaghy, the
calls?
NBA ref. Sorry, I'm yelling at you. I'm emotional about my losing our friend. But Tim Donaghy, NBA ref, got caught rigging
Yeah,
games.
he lives in my town. I can't wait to run
So
into him.
you live in the damn town as a cheater, and you're saying it's not rigged, Kelly? What is it? I mean, what? Maybe you are blonde. I mean, what the hell? I mean, come on. How
Look at
much?
the roots.
I mean,
Look
how
at the
much more
roots.
evidence do you need? No, we're kidding. Kelly, okay, real quick though, I want to get into this. I talked about the Cowboys, and I wanted to make one point that you said you were heavy on the Eagles. Last week, or excuse me, or on the Chiefs. Well, I took the Eagles minus 8 points against the Cowboys, thinking the Cowboys were going to go lay an egg, and then the damn Cowboys covered. So it's like it's a very hard world. Okay, let's play a little clip of my Cowboys suck city council snippet, and then I want to get your opinion on it.
Also, the Dallas Cowboys suck. I'm sick of the Dallas Cowboys. It was one thing when the Mavericks traded Luka. I was like, who cares about the Mavericks? They're not any good. They don't have Dirk anymore. But now that the Dallas Cowboys are basically doing their own false flag attack on their franchise, it makes me sick, because I wish Jerry Jones would sell the team to the cartel, because at least the cartel would figure out how to get across the goal line, because they cross the hardest goal line, the United States border. So I wish Jerry Jones would sell the team.
Do you agree with that sentiment, Kelly? Should Jerry Jones sell the Cowboys?
I'll say this. So I've been watching the Cowboys documentary with Grandma. I had no idea Grandma was a Cowboys fan.
Everybody's grandmother
Prior.
was. They used to be the best team. Anybody that's like
Prior.
over 30 years old loves the Cowboys.
Yeah, loved the Cowboys. And she literally explained to me throughout this whole documentary, this is why I no longer became a Cowboys fan. I thought it was rather intriguing. Look, do I think Jerry Jones is a great owner? Of course not. He's way too involved in the day-to-day. I think these guys need to remove themselves a little bit. We've seen other owners kind of go out, do some nice philanthropy in the community, and kind of just stay one step back. They trust their head coach. Jerry isn't, and he's not going to hire a head coach that does. But I want to walk it back a little bit and say, yeah, of course your team played good on a Thursday night football game against a divisional rival. That's what the Cowboys do. They're 34-9 in the division with Dak. Are you insane? That's almost 80%.
No, Dak is good, but we just traded Micah Parsons. I was like, oh, the Cowboys D-line is going to be so soft. And I was wrong. I thought Saquon Barkley was going to have like 500 yards. And that's why I'm taking a little break after that. Okay, the audience likes you, but obviously my audience, that doesn't seem like there are a lot of sports gamblers. So let me ask you a tough question. What do you think about this whole horrible tragedy with Charlie Kirk? I know you handle sports and politics is not your thing, but just as a sports person, a handicapper, what do you think about this horrible tragedy?
So I actually wouldn't say politics isn't my thing. I think there's a lot of data-driven things that really interest me from a political perspective. And you used MLK as a reference. I was actually at my mom's house helping her with some stuff. I got a text from my producer, and I just put my phone down and was like, okay, you know, your first visceral reaction is to go to social media and see what's going on. And I'm like, all right, let me finish doing what I'm doing. And then, of course, my mom's got the news on, and then it's there. And I had to sit down. I'm not like one of those types of people. I just like had to sit down for a second and process. And then, of course, floods in all the videos from everybody in the group chats, or, you know, sending you social media clips. And you said MLK. My mom was in high school during JFK, and she and I spoke about it. And I thought that was kind of my JFK moment. It was an absolute and utter tragedy. I still haven't fully processed it. I'll be really frank. I wasn't planning on you asking me it, so I'm going to try not to get choked up. I did not know Charlie, but I know a lot of people who did. And it's been a really heartbreaking week.
It really has, and I think you said it best. Like, I wouldn't try to call you anti-political, but I'm just saying, you know, you post more about sports. So, you know, you saw, we don't have to talk about Barstool too much, but like they specifically try to stay non-political, which I think is kind of dumb. I think that like now politics is sadly, and it has infected everywhere. And the old idea that it's impolite to talk about politics is really gone. That's not the era we live in. So I think like even the sports, I don't care when they put Black Lives Matter in the end zone. That doesn't even bug me. Like I just wish they would put like White Lives Matter too or something. But my point is, I don't mind the crossover. I think they all mix together. What do you think about sports and politics, Steve?
I don't like politics in the sports at all. No, it turns me off, because that's my escape. That's my escapism, is to go there to get away from because it's my job. You know, I have to live that. I certainly don't want to see it on
But I liked
television.
when Tebow would do the praying at the end zone.
Well, but
I
see,
like that.
I don't consider praying politics. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
athletes have been doing that
But
forever.
they would consider that probably right wing.
Maybe so. But I do have a quick couple of questions for you. One trivia question, real quick. If
boy.
Jerry Jones made one correct decision in the entire history of his ownership of the Cowboys, what was it?
You guys ask me stuff that I don't remember. You have to remember this. When things exit, the game's over, I dump it from my memory. I
Yeah.
am not one of those sports
You
trivia
know,
fans.
Alex?
No, I'm trying to. I know he's asking what is the number one best thing he ever did? Is buying the team, not firing Tom Landry.
No, of course
No,
not.
it was the Herschel Walker trade.
Oh yeah, but that was Jimmy
Oh,
Johnson that really
come
did that.
Well, I know, but he was the owner.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones was the owner, and that was the one time he had the lucky horseshoe up his ass, and he was able to ride that for 5-6 years, and that was it.
That was it.
Once that was over, once he lost the Herschel Walker trade benefits.
And we had that time where Tony Romo went to the damn Cancun when we were at 13-3, and we ended up losing to the Giants, and they won the Super Bowl. Hey, we've got a few super chats. $20 super chat. Timothy one. We need more transgenders in pro football. That is a good segue. What do you think about biological men invading women's sports? Are you for it, against it? Because me as a gambler, I am for it. I like that we have an angle. I won a lot of money on Leah Thomas. Like literally, I almost turned draft kings into draft queens because of my gambling prowess. And I like transgenders. I'm actually mad at the Trump administration, and I've spoken this vocally, and I've said this on paper, on tweets. I want transgenders in all women's sports. What do you think?
Listen, you cannot actually bet on women's collegiate
Yes, you can.
swimming.
Yeah, on
I've never
Kalshi,
seen
on
it anywhere.
Kalshi and
I've
Poly
never
Market.
seen
You
it
are
offered.
wrong, Kelly.
And it's
You
definitely
are
not
in the
offered.
professional gambling business. I'm not getting mad at you because now you're my new friend. You can definitely gamble on anything now, and you know that.
You can gamble on a lot of things. And that's where I've really gotten into politics, is
Mm-hmm.
the gambling side of things. I think if you want to make some quick money, 5-1 for New Jersey to flip red this governor's race might be worth a look. There's a lot of data that overlaps between politics and sports. Back to that question, no, listen, I think sports is supposed to be our release. We're already divided. We already hate each other's teams, right? I can say, oh, I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm supposed to hate the Chiefs. As a sports handicapper, I take a step back and I say, none of that matters. You take the emotion out of it. You take the math out of it. But as far as, biological men playing in women's sports, I think it's a basic litmus test for people. Do I want to associate with you? Can you answer this basic question? Should biological men be able to play women's sports? And the answer is no. And if you can't
What?
answer that, we don't have anything else we need to talk about.
I thought you're Kelly in Vegas. What are you talking about, Kelly? Do not try to virtue signal right now. Just be honest. As a handicapper, we want the transgenders in women's sports. I just do not try to virtue signal. You're trying to win. I don't know. You're trying to win points. Oh, KIR Ammo, our friend of the show, $100 super chat. What did he say? It's already left my screen, Jimmy. What did he say?
He said, replace Jimmy Kimmel with Primetime 99, RIP Charlie.
I would love it. Take the money. And rest in peace, Charlie. I hate that, right now we got a lot of live viewers and we're getting a lot of super chats, which I am very, very grateful for, but it's crazy to have such a traumatic experience, and it's hard to even appreciate the good things that are happening. Not that many good things are happening, but we do appreciate that $100. Okay, before we let you go, last thing, you don't like the transgenders in the women's sports. You're obviously encouraging men to gamble. How is your actual picks? Because you as a woman, Kelly, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that you would be good at gambling because you're a woman. And I think that maybe that's a stereotype, and I'm not saying that to be rude, but I'm a misogynist, and that's just how I naturally feel. I know. And so do you think you are a better handicapper because you're a woman? Maybe you're less emotional? Because I would think that maybe for 6 days of the month, you probably might not be good at handicapping.
Well, let's break this down from an emotional perspective. I do think that, yes, women are less emotional about sports than men. Not politics, but sports, they are. I actually wrote an article, had a lot of data to back it up in 2013 for the New York Times, and said, hey, look, if you can take out that emotion where you do go on tilt and you're betting way too much on teams named the Dallas Cowboys because you're a fan of them, those types of things do happen. Here's the reality. I bet a lot of college football. I only bet a little bit of NFL. Started off ice cold. ice cold. The Florida Gators have been absolutely repulsive. DJ Lagway, 5 interceptions last week.
He was supposed to be a
versus
Heisman
LSU.
Trophy guy, not even close. Sorry. Keep going.
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
So listen, I've been on this roller coaster ride to start the season. We're headed into week 4. Things are looking up. Had Vanderbilt over South Carolina last weekend. Had Florida did not get it done over LSU, and then had Arkansas to keep it close there with Ole Miss. But lots of dogs this weekend. This is kind of the chaos week of the NFL too. If you look at it historically from a data perspective, those 0-2 teams, somebody finally starts getting a win. But from a gambling perspective, they're a much larger dog given the fact that they're 0-2. So kind of be prepared for some chaos this weekend.
Are there more traps in NFL than college?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I'm that naive.
The parity between the two sports is so much different. Top to bottom, number one, let's say Philadelphia is probably number 1 right now. Who do we say is the bottom? Probably the
Bears,
Titans, right?
The Titans.
So we'll say that top to bottom, at most, they're 2 touchdown difference. But if you take Alabama, or you take Ohio State, and you put them against
Coastal Carolina, yeah.
Somebody awful. Sam Houston State. I mean, look, Texas is an 8 touchdown favorite this weekend or something obnoxious. And if Arch Manning isn't hurt, maybe they'll actually cover this weekend. But those are the differences between the two sports. Every given Sunday or whatever that old adage is real in the NFL.
It really is, and you're right. Like even these players, their wife could be mad at them before the game, and who knows? That's all of a sudden they don't play good. So it's really hard. It's a really hard business.
That's probably not the case. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that those guys probably don't care that their wife is mad at them before the game.
Well, they say there's legendary stories of NBA players that they would go on the road and that they would have road.
Yeah, but that's because they were going to strip clubs and staying out all night.
But I'm saying there's legendary stories. I think it was like Vernon Maxwell or somebody. Don't quote me on it, but like where the wives would go they would go basically do like a cheater sting and catch their husband cheating on them at the hotel. And like, I think that might mess you up the next day for the game.
Pro
if your
tip,
wife's
don't
kicking
marry
your
a
ass.
professional athlete. You won't probably have that issue.
That is true. Do not marry a professional athlete. My daughter will only marry an Asian mathematician. That is the only person she's allowed to date. All right, Kelly. Oh, before you go, how can people find you and support you?
Yeah, you guys can find me online at Kelly in Vegas. Wagertalk.com if you're looking for more sports picks. Of course, you guys can catch me on the Fade with Clay Travis there over at OutKick. Kelly in Vegas on basically every single social channel.
Everybody go follow her. Hopefully these picks are to get better. It is a long season, and over, the whole season you can probably get up, but it's just, I guess, keep gambling, right? What is it? Winners never quit and quitters never win. I mean, just
there
keep
you go.
going. Eventually you're going to hit the jackpot. All right. Thank you, Kelly. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
I hope we didn't encourage too many people to gamble right now. Like my luck has not been good, so I don't encourage anybody to gamble. I'm taking a little break.
I'm just wondering if you can, she talked about, having a balanced gambling portfolio, not betting everything on the Cowboys.
I should have pressed her on that.
I wanted to press her on that one because I wonder if you could have a managed portfolio on the casino floor, because I am attracted to.
You're talking about like playing a little blackjack, playing a little roulette, like,
yeah, or maybe 5 hands of blackjack.
There is some sort of like system like that where I feel like, because when they say like if you martingale like 10 hands, you're like up to like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But like if you're just playing, you're martingaling, like you're not. And I don't encourage anybody to gamble, but usually you're not going to win. You're not going to lose like 8 hands in a row, even if you're not.
Right.
Like it would be hard to purposely lose it, even though I have lost 8 hands in a row. But you know what I mean? Like
My worst is 13 in a row.
And you sat there and took everyone.
You took everyone.
Yeah.
You doubled down on everyone.
Yeah, because you're trying to catch up. No, I've been there. I think I was like maybe 8 or 10. But there's probably been times where I was under the influence. I don't remember how many I missed. But those are the times where I've won too under the influence. Gosh, this is a bad episode. I'm talking about alcohol, talking about gambling. Do not do any of this stuff. I'm going through a tough time, just like the whole entire universe is going through a tough time dealing with this horrible tragedy. I think it will be a therapeutic to go to the funeral this weekend, or the memorial, excuse me. But at the same time, America will never be the same after all of us witnessing that. And they said with 9/11, it was like, it's almost kind of like the repetition of seeing it was a form of trauma-based mind control. I think the repetition of seeing this is kind of forcing us to look at the world through a different lens. And I'm worried about the future a little bit, Steve. Is that should I not be worried? But it's hard to not be black-pilled right now.
I am encouraged, though. And what has encouraged me especially is the tens of thousands of applications for new Turning Point chapters
It's
around
great.
the world.
And I just talked to Mia from USC, University of South Carolina. They still want to do our event. I had 12 events planned. We're going to have to reschedule some. The event we're going to do in UCF in Orlando, we had to reschedule, and University of Central Oklahoma. But we are going to do the South Carolina one, and the students are so pumped because the energy for Turning Point is just as big as it's ever been.
And that's, you know, this was and could have been a black pill event for me. I feel as I'm coming out of the shock and the anger, you know, because there was a lot of anger involved in this as well, in the emotional process. But coming out of all of that, as we look at the aftermath now, and we see how people are dealing with it, we're seeing a lot of people. You know, look. How many thousands of people went online and said that this Sunday was the first time they've been to church in years?
So many people. They had a record number of baptisms in churches.
And churches that had 2 or 3 services, the people were lined up down the, you know, the hallways and outside to get into the.
Charlie would love that. Charlie would love that.
It was incredible. And then, as I said, with the number of applications for new chapters, and then to see the memorials in the other countries, that was the first moment when I realized something was really special happening here, when I saw memorials happening in South Korea, Germany, Poland, France, Spain, New Zealand. You know, I'm like, they knew Charlie there?
The UK,
Apparently
they
did.
were protesting for him, it looked
Right.
like. You know, they turned it into a Charlie protest almost. It's just a sad thing. I don't want to keep on harping on it, but I'm struggling just like everybody else is right now. I can't really be too, the levity is just not there for me, because I can kind of go back to that moment and relive it in my head just like everybody else can. And I think it's going to take time to desensitize us to that. But I hate that we have to get desensitized to this. I hate that young people are seeing that, and I hate that it's like probably radicalizing people on both sides. That's not what we need right now. What we need is to have respectful conversations and not try to jump to conclusions and really blame people that we don't have evidence for. And even if we have evidence, like, we just need to kind of wait and see. But the other thing that I'm struggling with, and I don't want to get too deep into the woods, I do not have a lot of faith in getting the cold hard facts from the federal government and the FBI. I just really have lost a lot of trust. And I know Kash and Dan are in control, but are they really in control?
No.
Yeah.
They're not. That's the problem. And this is where, if you wanted to stay on for another hour, we could go.
We could, yeah.
But this is a problem, and how honest can I be?
You can be honest. Be honest as you want, yeah.
You know, I think the general consensus among the people that I know in the intelligence community at large, FBI specifically, retired whistleblowers, current employees, is that they really believe that Dan is a good guy.
Yeah.
And that Dan is just simply in over his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's a deer in the headlights every time he's on television. He's a guy that was basically managing a show this size right here.
Well, he did have one of the biggest podcasts, bigger than this one. I just
Right.
But yeah, he's not a big studio or anything.
Right.
I see what you mean,
In terms of employees, he went from managing that to becoming essentially the COO of a 37,000,
the biggest police department in the United States, basically.
Right.
I mean, it's not an easy transition.
with incredibly complex moving parts. And so suddenly you go from that to that with no experience doing that whatsoever. And then on the other hand, in the top dog seat, you have the guy that's the mouthpiece of the organization, who's basically over the last few weeks has had so many missteps because he's been desperate for a PR win, and every time he thinks he's got one, he steps on his dick again.
I love Kash. I'm friends with Kash. We love Alexis Wilkins. That Valhalla statement, I don't think he was trying to be rude or off color, but it just didn't feel right.
Cringe.
Like, I don't think he deserves to be canceled for that whatsoever, because I think his intentions were obviously good, but it's like, I'll see you in Valhalla. That's like the last thing we wanted to hear, at that moment.
No, that was a cringe moment. It was certainly not his finest moment, but he's had worse. And the biggest problem, and this is what I'm talking about. So we talk about Dan. We hope that he's really the good guy that we all think that he is, and that he's just in over his head. And then you have the top cop, has never been a cop.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to act like a cop, but he's wearing a badge like a cop.
And he's the top cop.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's a lot of pressure too. So it's like, and you know that he goes to the FBI. The real person that's calling the shot is the guy that's been at the agency for 25 years that really knows the ins and outs. Like they are just figureheads, and I think that they probably knew that. But then when they actually have to get in there, it's like you said, they're both. With all due respect, if they do see this, I think that they're both probably in over their head because I think 99% of the population would be in over their head with that type of responsibility.
And I have people, they go online when I make comments like that. It's just because you're jealous. I'm jealous of what? I don't want either one of those jobs.
No, I wouldn't want that job. I think they got it, and now Dan Bongino's realizing maybe I don't want this job anymore.
Right. I'm not qualified, and would be the first one to admit I'm not jealous. But it is my job to talk to the people who understand the way that job is supposed to be performed and adjudicated and administrated, and they're not happy with it.
Yeah, because I think that if Kash and them really wanted to be like anti-establishment, they would have to be going against the agency, and as soon as they got to the agency, and this is self-preservation, they're probably just trying to play ball, but like if they really want to be effective, they should be going there and try to declassify and almost blow it up. But they obviously don't. It's a good old boy club. They don't want the FBI. They all say defund the FBI, defund the FBI. We all campaign on that, and then when they actually get the guys that could defund it, they're not going to defund jack shit.
Well, it's kind of hard to defund an organization when they hand you your own private plane with an ice machine and in the plane.
Why not? Why would we want this whole job to go? I'm the top guy. I'm the CEO, basically. I wouldn't want to lose my job either. Another $50 super chat from Timothy 1. Excuse me, Tiffany. Timothy 1. Catholics for Alex. If you're not Catholic, that's great. We need more waters in heaven from Cyrus. Is that our guy, Cyrus?
That's our Cyrus.
How does Cyrus have money to? He's donated over $100.
He might be having some Craftco Flying Aces.
Do we have? Oh, we don't have another ad, do we? Okay, good. We got all that done. I feel bad doing an ad too, like during all this. But
that was the hard thing. Even watching Glenn host Charlie's show yesterday, when they would take an ad break, I'm like going, how do you do that?
It was weird.
I mean, it's like you can suspend the ads or get one sponsor that you just sponsors the whole show, and like they do with the Masters, and you just say it, and then you don't talk about it again for an hour.
But the real inside baseball is that they have advertisers. They probably been paid for those ads, and they have to run those ads.
I understand that, but there comes a moment where
I agree, but I'm not going to even say that was like disrespectful because it's kind of a gray area where they're like, hey, people paid us for this. Charlie would, again, and I don't know this, but I know Charlie was a great businessman, even though it's a nonprofit. He really was an incredible businessman, the organization. Yeah. He knew he had business acumen. He would understand the business side of this.
No, I get that. I understand that. But
I know. It's tough to navigate because stuff like that could be considered insensitive when they're not trying to be insensitive. Anything can be considered insensitive. And it's just a hard thing to navigate. Because I want to speak out and I want to yell and scream about it, but that's also not the right tactic to take either.
No, it's not. But it's not good for your psyche to handle it that way anyway. But it is and it has been a tough time for those in our side of the media. We'll call it our side of the media, and it has. And I continue to struggle over it. I continue to look for the right things to say because you always want to you want to come across funny. I want to come across smart, and there are times when it's just like, you know what, there's a lot of people smarter than me. I'll just
it's kind of like it's not even almost worth trying to just like let it all hang out, not even try to be funny, not even try to be like super smart, just I guess speak from the heart. Now, one thing I didn't want to get too deep into the woods, but your favorite congressman, Cory Mills, has gone viral for. Now, he's gone viral a lot, but what was this vote he devoted to not strip Ilhan Omar of her committee positions?
There was a censure vote based on her rather
saying that 9/11 was not a big deal and all of her rhetoric and stuff.
And about Charlie. And so 4 Republicans voted to not sponsor the censorship, which would have stripped her of her committee chairs. And then, of course, in the background, what had happened with Cory Mills, Congressman Cory Mills, 7th District of Florida, is that he was being censured. He had a censure vote coming, I think, like today or tomorrow, from the Democrats. And it would have probably gone through because there's a lot of Republicans know what a shyster he is. And his censure would have probably come through.
So he made a backdoor deal?
He made a deal. He made a backdoor deal and a backroom deal. And that's exactly what it is. So I will vote to block your censorship if the Democrats at large will drop mine, and they did, and they dropped it.
And that's how this works, guys. They give us the impression it's right versus left, but really, if your neck is on the line, you can go in a door, in a room, behind Congress or whatever, and say, hey, listen, you don't vote for me, I don't vote. It's literally Survivor. It's like you don't vote. It's like Big Brother. It's almost like a reality show. You don't vote for me, even though I disagree with you and I'm supposed to be against you, but let's make a deal together to save us and screw over our constituents. That's how the government works. Okay, and then last thing I want to cover.
We got another $20 super chat.
Oh, yeah, from William Ashby. I saw this. He said, Alex, you need to step up to be the new Charlie. I could never be the new Charlie. I'm the dollar store version of Charlie. In Turning Point, I will never be the Charlie. If anything, I will be like the utility infield player or like the fourth guy in the bullpen that they can throw in whether they're up or down, if they just need a player to throw in there. And I'm happy and honored to even be in that position, but I will never, ever be able to fill the shoes of Charlie Kirk, and I don't think anybody will. It's going to take a committee of people, but even in that case, like, it's just still not going to be the same. The world is significantly different and worse off without Charlie alive in it. I mean, we lost a future president. It just makes me sick to even say that. So this is the big breaking news. Erica, his lovely wife, is now the CEO of Turning Point, so I think the future is as bright as it can be. It's hard to say that, but the future is going to continue to go on for Turning Point. Erica was obviously very dialed in, very smart woman. I think that she has a great team around her as well that will help her be successful. So this is good news. Turning Point is not going away. It's just a really sad situation without Charlie, though.
Well, what they're saying is that Erica was Charlie's choice. That
Oh yeah.
in discussions with the board, that was his choice, and they came through within a week to vote on that. And she is, I mean, she did an incredible job in her own eulogy that she delivered here. You know, just I could just start there. Doing what she did, just like 2 or 3 days after what happened.
Tough.
No way. I don't even know who she's Superwoman.
She did have a lot of courage doing that. So I have the utmost confidence in Turning Point continuing to be incredibly successful. With Erica, we're just going to lose a lot of that great content, sadly, of Charlie owning the libs and owning them in a respectful manner, not a disrespectful manner like I tend to do sometimes. That's what's like, I don't have survivor's guilt. I don't want to say it like that, but it would make sense, right? If I'm over there yelling at Antifa, if I got shot, for somebody to actually dislike Charlie Kirk so much to want to take his life, it doesn't make sense because Charlie was so respectful. He was not racist. He was one of the greatest, most moral and levels of integrity that most human beings can't even comprehend. So for him to be taken out, it scares me a little bit. It's like, man, I should have already been taken out if that's the litmus test for what.
Yeah, but you know, your boy Milo, he wants to fill the gap.
Milo would be great on campuses. He's famous on campuses, but that once again, Milo's going to go there and make a bunch of sexual jokes and dumb stuff, and it's going to go viral. But it's going to be different than Charlie. Charlie might actually change some people's minds, and I'm not saying Milo doesn't change a mind or two, but it's just different strokes for different folks. Charlie had the total package. And it's just a big loss when it comes to this public debate that is so important right now. We need more of this discourse. We've done it so much online where people can do it anonymously. Charlie was encouraging people to do it face-to-face, in person, giving people the opportunity to say whatever they wanted to say to a guy, whether they agreed with him or not. And there's nothing more pure and honest and First Amendment defending than that, in my opinion.
Did you see Milo's first tweet afterwards?
Which one?
Well,
I've seen a lot of them.
I actually liked what he said. He said, "Well, you killed the nice guy. Now you got me."
I know that's what they keep saying. But it's like, this is my only caveat.
You can't replace him. We're
No.
not
I know you're not
that.
saying that. I know you're not saying that. But this is what I keep saying. Is like how people are like, well, now we're going to be even more radicalized. It's like, I don't know if that's really what we need to be. We definitely need to be more dialed in and more involved, but we don't want to fight fire with fire. We want to be the better man. We want to be the bigger man when it comes to this. So it's like, yes, we should go on campus, and yes, Milo should disrupt it. But I don't want to even, like how Steven Crowder, no disrespect to Steven Crowder, is like, you come to our events, you try to do something, we're going to 86 you. That is a good thing. That is the right moral thing to do. If somebody's trying to take your life, you take it back. But I don't even want to kind of use that rhetoric right now. I don't even want to use the fight rhetoric right now. I want to be extra. For me personally, I'm not calling out Steven Crowder or even saying that bad. I'm just saying I just don't even want to use that rhetoric because this is so dramatic and this is so combative. I want that kumbaya moment. I really do want that.
Well, Trump could say fight, fight, fight because he survived.
Yeah.
And that was the difference in that attempt and then what happened here. I mean, I don't, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that even if Trump had been killed in that assassination attempt, if it would have had the impact that this had.
I mean, you could argue that 2 presidents would have died. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, Trump was president, Charlie was going to be potentially the vice president and probably the future president. So, yeah, I mean, you could argue that the ripple effect might have even been bigger from Charlie Kirk. And there's people that are like, what? No. If you don't believe that, or if you don't think that that's possible, it's only because you don't understand the impact that Charlie Kirk had on the youth and just America and politics and the connections. And obviously, Donald Trump would have been a terrible tragedy if he died, but he is a little older. Like, there's just, I think that Charlie's political career would have lasted longer than Trump, so he might have had a bigger effect in that sense, just going by time alone. But I don't even want to talk about these hypotheticals. I'm going through a tough time, just like y'all are. I will be in Phoenix this Saturday. I'll be covering it. I'll be doing some coverage probably for the Blaze and for Sky News, so you guys will be able to see and catch some of the memorial. I think it's going to be live, so if you guys want to watch that, you're going to have the opportunity. Steve, what do you got going on? What can you promote?
Right now, I am getting ready to do a series of interviews. Believe it or not, you know, the January 6th investigations are not over because there's a brand new select committee. As a matter of fact, while I was sitting out, you know, in the atrium here before coming on with you, we were working on getting out our exclusive from the Blaze about the new J6 committee.
And that's a committee that's going to investigate the last committee, right?
That's and what they're now demanding from all of these various agencies and private companies is, where are all of these documents that got destroyed?
They have to be digitized somewhere.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. And so they're demanding copies from the contractors that were archiving this stuff for the previous Democratic Select Committee.
Whatever, yeah.
So the point being is that they have a lot of work ahead of them, which means I've got a lot of work
Ahead of you.
ahead of me as well. But I'm excited about it because now we're going to be able to get to the bottom of several of these things. Because it's not just the select committee. There is an appointed group inside the DOJ that's their only focus. There's an appointed group inside Tulsi Gabbard's team at ODNI. That's their focus. And I may or may not know a few people in all of those groups.
And those are big groups, and I'm not saying this to be insensitive or facetious on all this stuff, but when they use a third of the FBI's resources to go after MAGA grannies, I feel like this should be an easy case to crack. You know what I mean? Like, this shouldn't be that hard to figure out that they weaponize the FBI against American citizens. I would think that this would be an easy case to crack, but I'm not gonna have that much faith. Are they going to crack the case? Do you have any faith?
Well, I'll give one thing away without naming names. The first time that I met with and sat down with some of the members of Tulsi's team, Tulsi Gabbard, ODNI, one of her actual deputies looked me in the face, and he said, "Steve, you're going to finally get the missing pieces of the puzzles you've been looking for over 4 years."
You deserve it, even though I think you already knew it. Wow, another $100 super chat from KIR Ammo. This is our Turning Point March for Charlie this Saturday, September 20th, 5:30 p.m., JFK Memorial in Fort Worth. And, I was going to try to be there, but I'm flying out on Saturday to go to Charlie's funeral. I was actually supposed to speak at that. Carlos and Nate Shatline were putting that together, but I'm going to be at the funeral in Phoenix. And guys, it's been
we also got another $20 super chat that we missed. Tony Hay Munkets, never change, Alex. We need you just the way you are. Love you, brother.
Tony Hay is a good super chatter, a good egg. We love you, chat rats. You guys need to reach out, message me. I know I've gotten a lot of messages of support, only a couple bad ones, all good, not that I'm complaining, but believe it or not, some people reached out like gloating about Charlie's death. There's some sick people out there. All right, guys, that's been our show. We're just going to end the show. No freestyle finale, but we will be back next week, next Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's been our show. Everybody go follow Steve Baker. We love you guys. Peace. Like a